with his trainer, Eddie Reynoso, wearing black with white, also weighing in at 167.6 pounds. In his professional career, 54 victories, including 36 big wins by knockout, only one defeat with 2 draws, and he's undefeated for 6 years, and considered by many to be, pound for pound, the best in the world. He's the former 2-time light middleweight world champion, former middleweight world champion, former light heavyweight world champion, the reigning, defending super middleweight champion of the world, damas y caballeros de Guadalajara, Jalisco, México, representando al gran campeón, Shaur, Canelo.
Welcome to Hispanics Causing Panic with your hosts, Calix and D-Style Boxing.
Thanks to those joining me live and those that will be joining me on the archive. This is D-Style Boxing here. Hit that like button if you're listening right now on the archive. And if you're live right now, definitely. Shout out to Mars Anthony Sanchez already in the chat. If you're watching on X, make sure you follow. And you could always come join the chat here on YouTube at D-Style Boxing. Just put D-Style Boxing. We're live right now, okay? Or just type HCP 141. It should come up. Join us here on the live feed. Go to my timeline. The link is there as well. Shout out to Remy in the building. Thank you for being a member, Remy. I appreciate it. It goes a long way with the support. A lot to talk about. Calix will be joining me momentarily. A lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And also, just a reminder, share the show. It goes a long way. It really, really does. It takes a village to create something. So we appreciate anybody who shares it, okay? Jaime Mungia with a great performance. He literally just destroyed Ryder. I gave Ryder maybe 2 rounds. After that, it was, but besides that, in a way, it was all Mungia. Before those middle rounds and after those middle rounds, Mungia really impressed me in this fight. I like this poise. I like this patience. I think him and Freddie Roach is a good marriage. They should stick together. I believe Roach is really well with offensive-minded fighters, and he touches them up. Yes, of course, his offense is going to continue to be his defense. However, he's still responsible before he gets in the line of fire, and does responsible things in the pocket, more responsible in a way. Great performance by Mungia. Even took that round off in the middle round, just kind of just assess the situation, regroup, and go back to the attack. And I think he did a phenomenal job. I think Ryder, whatever threshold Ryder has where he could take a punch, this Mungia's power went over that threshold. Mungia not only carried his power, he probably hits harder at 168 than he did before. He is a big guy, Mungia. So maybe that, we've seen this a lot with fighters, but maybe cutting all that weight isn't always the best thing. Maybe now, instead of a fat camp or trying to lose weight, he could concentrate more on strategy and technique and game plan and be more comfortable fight week. And perhaps that's something that played a big role. But I think a lot of it is with this training with Freddie Roach. Shout out to Slide Tendencies. And again, to Slide Tendencies, I appreciate your support, brother, being a member. I much appreciate it. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. But you're right. The maturity showed a lot, right? It came out in this fight. This is the breakout performance that Golden Boy's been waiting for Mungia to have. Every time they step Mungia up a little bit, because they've been stepping him up incrementally over the years, if we're honest. But now they didn't quite get it with the Berinchyk fight, right? And before that, they couldn't quite get that. Even when they put him in there with Liam Smith, I think the idea was, okay, we're going to put him in there with somebody that Canelo knocked out, but maybe Mungia could do it faster, more dominating fashion. That fight went the distance. And so it's been this constant, like, okay, when is Mungia going to have his breakout performance? And he has it now. I think the Ryder fight is a good breakout performance, a really good win. And yes, did something that Saul Canelo Alvarez couldn't do. That's just a fact that he couldn't stop Ryder. What does that really mean in the grand scheme of things? In my opinion, nothing. Like, styles make fights, and I think Canelo won very comfortably against Ryder. And he just beat him in his own way. Everybody wins fights in their own way, and so to me, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just like Mungia. Not getting the stoppage doesn't mean anything either. Like, you know what I mean? Calix in the building. How's it going, Calix?
Good to be here. Sorry for the late arrival, but I'm locked in.
So I kind of gave my thoughts on the Ryder performance. I thought it was the breakout performance that Golden Boy's been waiting to have with Mungia. They finally got it, right? It looked like, I think it was a 5th or the 6th. I was like, oh, here we go. The fight's turning around. Here it comes. And then Mungia does something I never see him do. Kind of just steps back, assesses the situation, regroups, lets the momentum pass, because he's always trying to fight momentum, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you got to let the momentum pass a little bit, right? And then gain your momentum back. And that's exactly what he did. And another thing I mentioned, Calix, was, I think you'll agree with this, Freddie Roach is perfect for offensive-minded fighters. He's the perfect trainer for that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Remember, like, we've talked about this a lot, I think both you and I, that a lot of times moves to trainers mid or late in the career, they're just not going to do much. If anything, they're going to confuse the fighter. But I remember when, initially anyway, Freddie Roach and Miguel Cotto came together. And it worked. Why? Because Miguel Cotto was fighting too negative. He was fighting too on his back foot. And he reprogrammed Cotto to be more offensive-minded and focus on the body and focus on the left hook and focus on coming forward in fights. And that's what happened. And it worked, at least initially, for Miguel Cotto. And this is what I was excited about from Mungia. 3 things. As far as the actual performance, what I was excited about with Freddie Roach, everybody was like, Freddie Roach. And I was like, I don't know. We got to see it first. But Freddie Roach he brushed some things up, sharpened some things up, while at the same time allowing Mungia to be Mungia, right? You need to keep your identity as a fighter. And we've talked about this. Like, people try to fix fighters too much. Like, let Mungia be Mungia. And with that type of style, you're going to get hit. It's okay. But as long as he's getting the better end of it, and as long as he's front foot dominant, and he was front foot dominant in this fight, and he picked the spots to really go after John Ryder. But what I was impressed with was every time John Ryder tried to become front foot dominant and get things going, Mungia pushed him right back. And that's not an easy thing to do, because I've seen Ryder, a lot of fights with Ryder, and it's hard to keep that guy from coming forward in his spots. He's an economical fighter, but when he gets going, he starts to he's low frame. His legs look like tree trunks. I mean, he's a solid guy, compact guy, and he's going to push you forward, get underneath you. And Mungia did not allow that to happen. He just pushed him right back to the ropes and went back to work. So I like that he kept his identity while Freddie Roach sharpened some things up as far as punch placement and patience. The other thing I was excited about, and why you say it's a coming out party, there's a reason it's a coming out party, and there's a reason that managers and promoters do a certain thing. We know triangle theory doesn't work, but they do this thing where they pick a target, right? They've got their target, and we know Canelo's everybody's target around 168. So they've identified their target. So what do? You pick a common opponent, a recent common opponent, and you go after that guy in order to organically build the fight. That doesn't mean that Mungia beats Canelo because Mungia beat Ryder better than Canelo. It's not what it means, but it gets people talking. And he beat, whether Canelo softened him up or whatever, I don't know what to make of that, and we'll never know. But what I do know is he beat Ryder better than Canelo did, and that's a recent common opponent. It's going to be fresh in people's minds. And on top of that, he outdrew Benavidez in Phoenix. And people are overlooking that. But he did. He outdrew, you look at the numbers, he outdrew Benavidez in his hometown. He made a statement at 168. There are 3 Mexican fighters at the top of 168. Mungia stepped in the room. He stepped in the chat on Saturday night and said, I'm here. You got to deal with me.
I'll say this. As far as the softening up thing, I don't know, man. Like, you could say that about any fighter. If we start doing that, right, then we're going to start saying it about every fight. Like, oh, he only beat him because this guy softened him up before. Like, oh, he was in a tough fight a couple months ago, that softened him up. That's the only reason that this happened. And I'm sure every athlete, almost every sport, especially boxing, we're taking damage, that at some point they reach they had that one last good performance, right? Does that mean that's what it was? That he just had that one more good, because I thought he had a good performance against Canelo. Did it but I think, but I think that was expectations versus what happened more so, because anyone else beats Ryder that way, it's considered a very impressive victory. Like, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I just, my answer to that is I don't know, and I don't like to speculate too much. And another thing I'll say, it's not like, Canelo dropped him and landed some big shots, but it wasn't like, it's not, it wasn't like, I'm trying to think of a beatdown. Like it wasn't like Cotto Margarito. Like, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't just utterly destroyed and he ended up in the ER or something. I don't know. There's just no way to know if that was the last that he could take. I just think what I think it was, I think whatever threshold of his chin that Ryder has, and he has a good chin, Mungia surpassed it and was able to hurt him and drop him. I think that's what it was. Yeah,
and it wasn't even the chin, and because Ryder was still had his faculties, it was his corner said, "Nah, this isn't our night," and that's a credit to Mungia, because this was his night from the very beginning, from the jump. And I don't know if you got this feeling before the fight, because leading up to the fight, the couple weeks before it, I was saying, man, it's a tough fight. As soon as it was announced, I don't know, man. Like, he could lose this fight. He could lose this fight. But then that night, it felt like it was going to be his night. Just how he looked. And I'm not typically one of those people that, oh, he's got the look. But it just felt like it was going to be his night.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt it, honestly, after round one. I was like, man, Ryder's gonna have a long night. You know what I mean? But I started feeling really good about my 5-8 knockout bet.
You played it smart then, because I bet the decision. I bet Mungia decision.
I was like, oh, I'm feeling good about this one. But then Mungia took, I think it was the 7th off. I'm like, what are you doing? I need it now, brother. And then it's the second time, by the way, that the fighter gets a knockout in the very next round. Like, I bet better be 1 through 6 to knock out Smith. He knocks him out of the 7th.
Me too.
And then this one, I bet it 5 through 8. He knocks him out early in the next round. Jesus Christ! But what impressed, because we know Mungia could punch. That doesn't shock me that he has punching power. We know he could put offensively punches together, right? And we know he's never going to be Pernell Whitaker. No one's ever going to confuse him with Pernell Whitaker or Floyd Mayweather in there, or even Canelo for that matter, defensively, right? But what impressed me was the sharp. He just looked sharper with Freddie Roach, just like you put it. He was just sharper in there, more responsible with bringing his arms back. Just like it's okay. You don't have to get your get back immediately. It's what we love about Mungia. He gets hit. He wants to hit his guy right back, but it's okay to take a step back and like you're blinded from the shot. Don't just try to hit him back. That's where Mungia would get hurt a lot of the times. But this time he avoided that. And the round that impressed me was the round he lost, Calix, the round he gave away, because I saw what he was doing. I saw he was just kind of reassessing the situation. He didn't even have to do it, but he did it because he knew I have enough rounds in the bank. I'm going to get him in the next round. Let me just ride the storm for a little bit, and I got it. And I think that was very impressive to me, what he did. Right?
It was locked in. It was intelligent pressure. It was impressive. Like you said, it's a coming out party Saturday night for Mungia. He made a statement.
Do you still want to change him?
No, I never wanted to change him. But what I'll say is, his ceiling is.
He did. I mean, Calix, he got hit. Calix,
he got hit too much.
But maybe he brought it down to 5 punches around. You know what I mean? Just ran around the ring and avoided engagement. Right? Show that defense. That's sweet science. You know, and he doesn't get hit. You know what I mean?
I think what we saw too is you never know what the fighter's going to look at that weight class. Mungia was a guy who was seen as a middleweight. So how's he going to do at super middleweight? And that was another thing that stuck out to me is he's fighting a compact fighter, muscular build, particularly lower body, who's going to push you back. And he did, like Mungia did not allow that to happen at all. He just continued to push him back. And what I saw was a guy who's going to translate to 168 well. And I think he's game versus anybody at the top of 168. I think he's game.
100%. 100%. And I'm glad he had this performance. And now we're ready to. I would love to. He could have been the savior of middleweight, but he moved up. It is what everyone's going for that Canelo payday. It is what it is. And before somebody says, "Oh no, he's not," Mungia's a warrior. He fights for the warrior spirit. I'm sure he does, but he definitely wants that payday too. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Warriors like money too, right, Alex? I mean, it is what it is.
I would think so.
But here's the thing. Hey, when the Vikings did all those raids, they were just doing it to do it. Like they were stealing gold, and you know, I'm just saying. But here's the thing. I want to talk about this. De La Hoya mentioned September, right? And if the rumors are true that Canelo's going to be fighting Jamal, would Calix be okay with Mungia Canelo in September over the Benavidez fight?
Would I be okay with it? I would tell you.
I'll answer first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would not be okay with it.
So let me tell you what my problem will be with that scenario. Without going too deep into this, because I'm sure we're gonna.
No, we're supposed to go deep. No, we're supposed to go all the way, dive in, like all the way from the top,
all the way deep, all the way deep. But all the way up. I don't like Mal Charlo in the picture. I don't like it. I don't like him in the picture. Why is he in the picture? I get it. And if it leads to, I said if it leads to Benavidez on the back end of that deal, because ultimately that's number one on my list. My personal list. I think right now would be Benavidez, Mungia, then Bud. That's fine. I don't understand why Mal's in the picture. Why is Mal in the picture? Mal's in the picture to lead to Bud. Then why not just do Bud and May? Like, well, why is Mal in the picture? So what I would like, I'm just gonna put out what I would like personally. I think the Mexican dudes need to throw down at 168. I think that's what I want to see. I want to see Mexican showdowns at 168. You got 3 guys there, and they're all fun, and all those fights will be fun. Just do a round robin. And if they want to milk it, like I want to see Canelo versus Mungia in May, Canelo versus Benavidez in September. That's what I would like to see. But if they want to do, you know what I would love? I would love for Benavidez and Mungia to fight each other in May. Canelo at that point can fight Charlo. Go ahead and do that. Fight Charlo at that point. That's fine. And then the winners of those semifinals face off in September. And if there's a cut or something, you can just push it back to December, whatever you got to do. But that's what I would like to see. If Charlo's in the picture, then that would be the scenario which is acceptable for me. And then just face the Benavidez Mungia winner and later on in the year. But I'm thinking Mungia is going to fight Berlanga. That's what I think is going to happen.
Kamikaze says maybe Canelo's fighting Charlo as a tune-up because his hand is not ready for Benavidez. I can't explain it any other way. I don't like the Crawford fight either as much as I don't like Crawford either as much as Benavidez. But he already had, like, no offense to Jamal, but it was basically a tune-up. I mean, Ron, like, wasn't that like a basic, like, it was like a sparring match. So.
It ended up being that way. So, like, I don't mind the butt fight. I think that's a impactful fight. That's gonna be, whether we like it or not, it's gonna be a legacy fight. It's gonna define the legacy and the era and all that stuff. And it's gonna be, people aren't gonna want to hear this in certain factions, but it's gonna be a ratings bonanza. And as the fight nears, the negativity and the detractors are going to be drowned out. I'm just telling you that's how it's going to happen. I just don't understand why Maul's in the picture. I hate that. I hate Maul being in the picture.
There's a lot of reasons. Look, there's a lot of reasons.
I hate that fight, D-Style. Hate it.
There's a lot of reasons I don't like that fight. One of them, first of all, the fight makes no sense. That's number one, right? Second, although this would be hilarious in a way, like, so Mauricio, you had him hold that belt for like over 1,000 days and for nothing. like it's just like that. That's number one, bro. And I don't feel bad for Adames after the things Adames said, right? I don't. He's over here wishing Jamal like good luck, and I understand what he's going through. Like, okay, brother, whatever. Okay, go be empathetic. Like, you know what I mean? For a dude that's not going to be empathetic towards you. Because if Jamal was empathetic towards you, Adames, he would have vacated the belt if he had empathy. All right. So it's that. And then the other thing, Calix, is the rewarding of inactive guys. Like Keith Thurman just hit his version of a lottery, kind of. He's getting a payday for being inactive for 25 months. Like, and then Jamal was inactive for a year and a half. He got the Canelo payday after promising to fight the Tim Tszyu, the fight we should have gotten. That should have been the big breakout fight for Tim Tszyu in Vegas. We didn't get that. Like, okay, whatever. If Jamal gets this fight, and it's not the only example, by the way. There's countless examples of PBC fighters specifically getting these big paydays because they were sitting. So that's going to send a signal to a lot of these guys. You know what? Even when everything's not working out, even when times are tough and I can't even buy a loaf of bread for my family, when Al tells me he's going to give me that big payday, I think Al is always going to deliver because look, he got to fight for him. He got him a fight. He's going to get it for me too, right? So it's helping the culture of sitting on the couch at home. And then the payday they're going to get for these fights are astronomical. That's what they are. They're amazing. They're huge paydays, bro.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money. So like that means we don't see them again. Like after they get the payday, it's a strategy to get a retirement plan. You know, a retirement payment, get the retirement bonus, and I'm out.
It's a Canelo stimulus check. You just wait around for it. Right, you just wait around. But these are some of the fights.
Gets to fight with Tank, what message is that sending?
These are some of the fights that people have been wanting to see, and now they're going to see them, supposedly. And you're going to find out that the Charlo, particularly 160, Charlo was never that guy. Boo Boo Andre, we found out, was never that guy. And they've been trying to push that some of the fights that Canelo took, like the Bivals, like the John Ryders, were ducks of a Jamal Charlo. And they're going to find out now that wasn't the case. That was never the case. And Canelo's giving them that. He's giving them that. So for those people, for that crowd, I don't want to hear them complaining about anything. Y'all need to sit in the corner and take it, and take the L's, take the beatdowns you're about to get. And 100%. Canelo versus Bud is intriguing to me. It's an intriguing fight.
It is.
It's an intriguing fight. It's just not the fight I wanted.
It's not the fight,
and it's not the business. I thought 2024. What I was expecting was going to be family business. I expected Mexico versus Mexico to be taken care of. I expected 168 to be taken care of. So I feel let down in that manner.
What do you think of? Well, let me ask you this. What do you think of people saying? And I get it's not that I don't understand their point. It's just this. Oh, you guys been saying for years that Canelo's ducking black fighters, and now that he's fighting black fighters, and now you guys want to complain because they're not ready. They're the same age as Canelo, and you guys been saying that Canelo was ducking Jermall for all these years, and now that here's the thing, things change. Okay? Like, I'm sorry, things change, bro. That's when Jermall was active, when people were intrigued for the fight. They're not intrigued with, they don't want to watch him fight like depressed Jermall. Like, you know what I mean? Like the dude's like, he's on podcast crying, bro. Like that's what Canelo's gonna fight.
Things change, but they stay the same, because you can't allow them to backpedal now. You can't allow them to say, well, this isn't the Charlo I wanted him to face. Look, the beatdowns would have been the same 2019, 2020, 24. I'm telling you, these are the same fighters. Active, not active, they're the same dudes. And we saw Jermell bend the knee, and I think with Jermall, we're going to see much of the same. Bud's not going to be that guy. Bud's going to be there to fight. Bud's going to be there to he's a seek and destroy guy. So that's going to be a different type of fight.
They're mainly saying that about the Jermall fight, but here's my thing. What I will ask people is this: put your cap of a boxing fan on, right? You're Mr. Boxing Guru cap. Like, put that cap on, right? And ask yourself, okay? Just ask yourself, are you really intrigued by Canelo versus Jermall Charlo in 2024? If you're honest, the answer's going to be no. Like forget what people said and that people had it come. Forget about it. That just take it for face value. It isn't a good fight. I am sorry. Okay. Okay. I don't want to hear, like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, bro.
No, I know what you're saying. If you don't push, if we're not pushing back on narratives and we're just taking it for face value, we're looking at a guy who his one fight in how long has it been? Has it been 1,000 days? However long it's been
over 1,000 since he's defended the damn middleweight title, and he's had one fight against a one-legged dude since then,
who was a welterweight, and he missed the weight. He missed it. It was a catch weight, and he missed it.
I don't get it. Like, I just don't understand.
But he's in the picture, and this is PBC, and this is what this was the negative that we warned you about when the PBC deal was signed. It's like, American fight fans, this is what you wanted, right? This is what you wanted.
And
you wanted Canelo to face the PBC fighters, and this is what it looks like. This is what the PBC model looks like.
It's terrible. Look, this is the problem, and this is the bad message you would be sending if Jermall gets the fight and then he fights Mungia, right? This is the bad message. You would be sending a message that, you know what? You're not incentivized for stepping up and creating your own lane, right? What's the incentive for Benavidez to have fought Plant and then Bubo Andrade, right? If it's actually better to just sit at home and do nothing, because apparently that's how you get the fights. How can we sit here and critique what Benavidez has done or not done? For the people that want to talk about he hasn't done enough yet, or whatever they want to say, right? How can we possibly even have that conversation if guys sitting at home doing nothing are getting the big opportunities? It's not even worth having that nuanced discussion of has he done enough? Oh, I think if he does this, it'll make the Canelo fight bigger. When apparently bigger is stay at home and then just wait for Canelo to give you that call. Apparently, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just not.
You're not vibing with it.
I'm not vibing with it, and it's these dudes. They're basically unemployed dudes waiting on a promised check, right? Oh, don't worry. The disability check's going to come in. But in this case, not a disability check. It's a Canelo check, right? And then they're starting to do that with Tank, right? Tank's going to become that check for a lot of those PBC guys. Like, it's Martin might end up fighting Tank. And what message is that going to send to these guys, right? And then guess what? Like we praise Fulton for being a true fucking warrior and going to Japan and fighting Inoue, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I understand he got paid and all that, but he still did what a lot of these guys don't do, right? But you know what I was going to tell them? I just had this feeling. You know what the PBC dudes are going to say? Yeah, you see what he did? He was stupid for going over there. He didn't listen to Al, and he got his ass whooped. Like we were making him look good over here. We're going to make him look like $1 million, right? But no, he wanted to go fight Inoue and try to do great things. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what it is, bro.
Yeah.
He was working harder, not smarter. Like that's what they're gonna say, bro.
That's what Floyd was telling Ryan on that jock.
But yeah, I just don't see. You see. I don't know why you went over to Japan. You see. That's probably what they're telling him.
Yeah, this is the thing though. At 168, we don't want 168 to become what 147 was, right? When we had that half decade of, you got 7 undefeated fighters in the weight class, and you got Bud and Arrows, they're not fighting. And then underneath that, you got guys refusing to fight each other because their loyal fan base is telling them, look, if these guys aren't taking the risk to fight each other, then neither should you. Boots, Virgil, you shouldn't fight each other. Stanionis, continue to take step-aside money and play it safe and keep your position. Do not risk anything if the top 2 fighters aren't fighting each other either, and you got gridlock, right? So this is what I would like to see happen, because if this is the move, Canelo versus Bud will be received well overall, and all that stuff's going to happen. Unfortunately, that's what the Benavidez hardcore fans are going to have to deal with. But here's the good news for Benavidez. If this is the move, and Canelo still might fight Benavidez, it's just we're all reacting off of a report that could be false coming from one guy. I need 100%. People to keep that in mind. Okay, so we're just playing this exercise to see how we react to this, and you and I are going to keep it fair and try to call it right down the middle. So this is what I would like to see Benavidez do if that's the case. I rolled out this 3-part plan that is hardcore fans not going to like. They're not going to like the third part of this. So the first part is campaign. So you campaign, politic, and then you fight. Campaign, run your anti-Canelo campaign that you're doing right now. He has a different fan base than Canelo. I know he'd like Canelo fan base, but the thing with Jaime Mungia is he has a similar fan base to Canelo, so he has to be a little more delicate about going after Canelo. Benavidez doesn't have to do that. Run your anti-Canelo campaign. He's ducking the Mexican monster, all this stuff. They're doing it now anyway. Now it'll be a little more believable, right? Yes. If he doesn't fight him in 2024. So that's part 1. They've already got that down. Part 2 would be to politic and make sure everybody knows it. Make sure you politic Al Heyman. Make sure you politic Sampson. Make sure Benavidez and his team, him and his dad, know that we're going after these guys for the fight, the Canelo fight. And on top of that, we're going after the WBC, and we're saying enough is enough. And you and I agree with this. And you and I have already been calling it out. If Canelo's not going to fight Benavidez in 2024 and he's going to go towards Bud, then guess what? Strip him. WBC, strip him, and let Benavidez, and I believe and Billy would be in next in line. Let them fight for the belt. They deserve it. Like, it's their shot. We can't hold up weight class business for any fighter. And people are going to throw out, well, they do it for this guy and this guy. I don't care. Do it for nobody. No fighter should be above this, and we need to call it out. So that, and then the other part of this is the most important part. And this is what I hope Benavidez does. Belts on the line. No belts on the line. Just fight the fights. I would love to see him and Jaime Mungia get together and somehow work it out and fight in Phoenix in May. Just fight each other and say, hey, we're going to handle family business. We're going to handle weight class business. I would love to see them. That would be a nice moment of poking the bear, right? Mexico versus Mexico, we'll do it. But if not, you got Morrell Jr., you got him Billy. And the Benavidez hardcore fans, I know when I say this, what they're going to say. They're going to say, why aren't Canelo fighting the fights? Stop worrying about Canelo. for a minute, it doesn't all have to be about Canelo for Benavidez. He has a golden opportunity here at 168, and as far as Mexican business at 168, to be sort of the anti-Canelo at the moment, if you will. All right. He can start to outreach to people like us and say, I'm going to fight the fights. You want guys who fight the fights, right? Well, I'm going to do it. His hardcore fan base is going to say, don't trust them. Don't do that because they just want you to lose. I'm telling you, whether you win or lose, as long as you're fighting the fights, you're going to get the fans.
Yeah, look, here's the thing, Calix. I hear all that, but I still have to say the fight to make is Benavidez Canelo.
I agree.
Like that's the fight to make. For how long are we gonna do this? Like, it's not Dickstown here. Like, where, like, hey, go out there and fight these dudes before you get the Canelo fight. And I hear what Nando was saying, and look, Nando's not lying, right? Samson he was proudly saying, we marinated the fight to make it a big fight. We made it a big fight, and now he's the king of Vega. And Canelo is out the door. Canelo give away tickets to the fights because nobody want to see Canelo no more.
And all the business, all there's all kind of ammunition to defend the move and say he doesn't have to fight the fight business wise because Benavidez doesn't draw and he doesn't do pay-per-view buys. But we're not going to be those people over there competitively. 100%. That's the fight. That's the fight.
And here's the thing. Remy says Benavidez has one fight left in his deal. Canelo 2. I'm sure though, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how it's gonna go down. The Amazon thing has changed a lot of how we were used to things a little bit. Does David get another deal? You say, Remy? I was gonna kind of touch on it. Thanks for the support, by the way.
I don't know.
My answer is I don't know. But this is what I'm hoping. This is what and I hate to go back to this, by the way. I really do. There was a little bit of a trend with some PBC fighters going rogue, and Fulton was one of them, right? Saying, no, I don't want that fight. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, let me go over there fighting away, man. I'm in this sport to prove I'm the best. This dude just moved up saying they're calling him the best. That I need to defend my throne, and I'll always respect Fulton for that. Right. So like Benavidez, right? This is before we knew, like, this is when the Ryder fight hadn't even happened yet. Right. And Canelo had not gone with PBC. Right. And a lot of us were actually happy because we knew with PBC, we're going to get the type of fights we've been getting. Mm-hmm. Nobody's been happy with these fights. Nobody was happy with Jamal fight. No. Afterwards, and you're going to be happy with Jamal fight? Like, we preferred a Bivol fight. As a boxing fan, we knew it was a bigger challenge. It was a better fight. Okay, like, it is what it is. But here's the thing. That was Benavidez' opportunity to set a narrative, right? And to say, anytime, or Canelo, anytime, anywhere. Whether you come over here, of course I'll fight you. Come over here.
Yep.
If you stay over there, that's not going to stop the fight either. I'm going to demand that Al or Samson lets me go. Samson's not going to tell me, we're not going to make the fight because I'm loyal to Al Heyman. Like, no, I'm loyal to me, and I want that fight. They should have been saying, of course we'll go to the zone and fight the cash cow if he resigns with them. That was an easy answer. That was the easiest softball question I've ever asked to anybody in the history of mankind. But people didn't want to answer because for whatever reason, they wanted Canelo to go to PBC. Right? That's what it was all about. I prefer PBC. I don't like him with the zone. I personally feel he'll be better off over here. So that's my answer. No. How ironic would it be, and we don't know this yet, if Benavidez doesn't get this fight with Canelo being on PBC? Mm-hmm. How ironic would it be if you don't even get the fucking fight? If Crawford comes over and takes your fucking plate and eats from it and shit. Like it's my plate. Give me that. Hey, but I'm here with PBC. Shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's over there. Like, you know what I mean?
That's Bud Crawford temperament too. That's something he would say.
Yeah, he's gonna take his plate and just eat it, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give me that. Like, you know what I mean? Think you're gonna get the fight in September. Well, like, you know what I mean? Like, cut my steak. You know what I mean? But the thing is this. he should have basically set the tone and just put the message out. I'll fight anytime, any place. I'll go where Canelo's at. Who the fuck were they to try to call the shots, bro? And then you expect me to believe that they were offering Canelo the fight, and Espinosa's weasel ass was over there corroborating with the whole thing. Oh yeah, it's a real deal. It's a real deal. But what happened? We were behind the scenes that Canelo told Al, tell that motherfucker to shut the fuck up. All right. And what did he do? He stopped doing the stupid little interviews about Canelo. He's not good in Vegas. Like, you know what I mean? Canelo Golovkin give free tickets to the fight. What are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But anyway, that's as much as I want to say for now. But any final thoughts before we walk out? We have other shit to tackle.
Not really. I would just say everything compounds with interest over time, right? You make good decisions early on, you're going to be rewarded on the back end of that. You make some poor decisions early on, then it's going to accumulate over time, and then it's going to take you longer to work your way back. What I would say is we're seeing a rash of young American fighters who made some poor decisions, listened to wrong people early on in their career, and they're sitting around wondering, hey, I'm doing the right things right now. Why are things not coming to me immediately? And it's because of a lot of poor decisions you made early on, and Benavidez was certainly in that number. What we're saying now is we feel he's done enough. We feel he's done enough for what, about 10 months now, 9 months now. So I'd like to see the sanctioning body step in. If he doesn't get his fight, we get to weight class business, and at least this guy can get a shot at his belt there, again, because he told you. What did he tell you? That was like 2 years ago. He told you, I know I made a mistake. We need to work. We need to get our way back. And I feel like he's done that. But stuff compounds over time. Canelo made good decisions early on in his career with guys like Austin Trout, Floyd Mayweather, Arislandi Lara, gave us our fights, gave us the trilogy with Golovkin, and now he feels like he's in a position where he can sit back and just call out who he wants. Cotto was in such a position, and by the way, Canelo took the short end of the stick against several guys. Mayweather, he took the short end of the stick against Cotto and got B-sided. He's overall been a generous A-side, so he feels like he's in a position now where he can do it. All I'm saying is 168, we need movement. Canelo or not, we need movement. And 100%. I would love to see, if you think you're above the belts at 168, vacate. If not, they need to strip. It's strip season at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I want to touch on this. Benavidez Sr. Look, man, you just got to have I don't care what the message is. It needs to be consistent. Stop flip-flopping, bro. Like what's going on over here?
Yeah.
Like one day, I want in Spanish interviews. We respect Canelo. Él es el mejor. Él es el campeón. Canelo, hey. You know, hey, Pep. Hooray. Like, you know what I mean? When it comes to Canelo, right? Ole, Canelo. Like, and then he comes to the YTBC to anti-Canelo channels. Yeah, motherfucker. He's a pussy scared. Like, you know, he's scared of us. And like really?
That's
P words and B words and this. Like,
that's not by accident. It's two different audiences. He's talking
two different audiences, but there's a thing called footage.
Yeah.
And we can look at it. There's people that are bilingual. Right? And then he apologizes. He apologizes for a public apology. Then 2 weeks later, he takes back the apology. I didn't mean it. Like, what the hell? What are you doing? Don't apologize. Like, I don't want you to. You don't need to be. Look, I'm not one of those guys. I'm not that dude. Like, be respectful to Canelo, or you don't deserve the fight. Like, I'm not that guy. This is a fucking fight game, okay? But if you're gonna be gangster all the way. In the words of Zab Judah, don't go halfway with it. All right? Go all the way with it. Don't apologize, half-ass apology, and then go gangster and I'm sorry. Bro, this bipolar shit, like, it ain't cutting it, bro. You need to have a consistent message. If your message is Canelo's ducking us, then go hard with that shit. Okay? Yeah, Canelo doesn't want to fight us. And I personally, I don't know how you feel about this, Alex. I don't like the passive aggressive strategy, like Canelo, he don't want to fight. He'll fight anybody, not my son. We moved on. We're gonna move on. So he's never gonna fight my son. So we're gonna move on and do our own thing. We're not worried about Canelo, right? but you are worried about it.
Yeah.
Like you bring him up all the time. Like, what are you talking about?
That's
like,
part of the three-part plan I rolled out is run your campaign, run it all the way, and politic WC, but do that too. Pivot and move on without Canelo, but at the same time say, look, we got to move on for a reason. It's because you're not fighting me. Like that. Go all the way, like you said. Go all the way. Keep the same energy.
If you're gonna go all the way with it, go all the way. That's all I'm saying, bro. People can read like flip-floppers a mile away. You can't be apologizing and then taking it back. And if I cussed Calix out today, right? And then say, oh man, I didn't mean it, bro. Sorry, I cussed you out. And then I cuss him out again. Then I apologize. And then I do it again. Then I apologize. And I do it again.
I keep forgiving you.
Like at some point, I would think he's gonna be like, yeah, I don't know about this dude, bro. Like, what the fuck?
I keep forgiving you.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Benavidez probably has too many voices on his team. I think that's what it is. You voiced frustration about Canelo letting too many things pass in public in the past. I think Benavidez has the opposite problem. I think he has too many people speaking for him publicly.
I agree 100%. And I would have 100%. Samson going out saying, I won't ever go to the zone if I Canelo. He needs to come over here. I would have been the first guy to say, yo, if that motherfucker resigns, I'm open to the fucking fight. I'll go over there and fight this dude. Like that should have been the message, my opinion. But with that said, let's keep it moving. A lot to talk about. Calix, big announcement, devastating announcement. Shakur Stevenson retired. This is the look. I can't even troll. I'm sorry. I can't even go with it. This is the most fake retirement. It beats any Brett Favre retirement. It beats
T.O.'s retirement. You think it beats Teofimo's retirement?
Easily.
Yeah, easily. So
it beats anything because he got mad. Now I had to fight somebody else. So you retired?
he didn't retire from the gym though. He made it clear he's still going to be in the gym. So you're still going to see sparring footage. Man. You're still going to see sparring footage, and that's good for his fans because his fans love sparring footage, right? They love talking about who beat who in sparring partner, sparring fights. So at least they got that, right? At least they got that.
This talk right here, but if it is a kiss the ring. What I'm talking like, look, Calix, I'm ready to talk my shit. I just need to fight to get official. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. That's going to be a fun fight to engage with people. I'm telling you, bro. Now, I do think some of those Benavidez fans lose bass in their voice, like sometimes. You know what I mean? Like they have a good bass in their voice when it looks like the fight's not going to happen.
I'll tell you what, it's back, and I can't blame them. It's back. It's back.
All right. It sounds of war. Shout out to Mom Food Planting Things in the building. JC in the building. How's it going? All you guys, man, we appreciate it. Off the ropes, boxing and MMA. Beef Fury's retirement. Yes. Bro, like I read that and there's people doing
I don't know
polls.
about that one. Remember when Fury announced a new trainer and then 2 days later retired? That was my favorite.
You know what?
That was my favorite one.
You're right. That one is that one is tough to beat. But I guess what I'm saying is like I literally didn't believe it. Like just people doing polls. Oh, do you think he's gonna retire? Like, what are you guys doing, bro? Like what's come on. I don't know. I don't think he'd like the people are shredding him. Like, well, performances like the last one, I'm glad you're gone. And he's taking it, bro. Like,
I think he got a rude awakening because I think last night when he put that, I think he expected people to be like, oh no, Shakur, not Shakur. But instead they were saying stuff. Like you read the comments, it was harsh. And I think he's getting a dose of reality that, dude.
Yeah, fans were offering to help him pack.
You need to entertain. This was the second one. It was Nakathilian, then it was De Los Santos. And I understand you have one arm, but you got to realize, man, it's part of it. And if you're going to fight, you got to entertain, and you didn't. And now you're lashing out. And it just adds to this trend of the new age fighters who just, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just new age fighters who are just pampered, and then they have yes men all around them telling them what they want to hear. And then they're in this artificial bubble of just people telling them what they want to hear and how great they are, and they just don't get out. And then when Shakur doesn't get what he wants, and why did this break him? And you start to realize that it's probably not this. There's probably something else going behind the scenes. He's going to be a free agent soon, and he's probably getting information coming to him that maybe he's not as valuable as he thought he was.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of rude awakenings for a lot of fighters, Alex. I'm looking at the landscape, and a lot of them are going to have some rude awakenings.
You're right.
They just are. Like, not all of them. Some of them are going to get lucky, get a Canelo payday, or Martin might get the tank fight.
Saudi money.
Saudi money. But like I'm talking, the Saudi, they only do a couple events a year. Like, boxing has a lot of fighters, hundreds of them.
Yeah.
A lot of guys are going to get some rude awakenings, bro. A lot of them. Shakur did get one last night. There's no doubt.
A lot of them are getting shelved. They're getting shelved.
100%. 100%. So, and it has a lot to do with the inactivity. So it just is what it is. But I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time. He'll be back. He's not retiring. Okay. Yeah. I'll put anything on it. If anybody wants to bet me on it.
My guy Navarette deserves that shot anyway.
Yeah, but like, who gets mad? Who gets mad? Like, who gets so mad that someone's fighting somebody else or you retire? Like what do you mean, bro? So your world revolves around Navarette, bro? Like what are we doing here? Like,
you better leave our boy alone. Leave Navarette alone. Leave him alone.
By the way, Navarette Loma, I'm all for it right there. That's a fight, and I don't know who wins that fight right now. That's a very, very interesting fight.
Yeah, it is.
That I'm looking forward to. I hope we get that fight. Speaking of Lomachenko, he's going to Australia. Well, friends are mates over in Australia. You know what I mean?
Don't do it.
To fight Kambosos. He's gonna go fight that bloke Kambosos. What's wrong, mate?
Don't do it, mate.
We're also an Australian channel. I have you know this, Alex.
I know we are, but you're not Australian. Like, I'm a Mexican channel, but I'm not Mexican. No, like, I'm a pretend Mexican, and you're a pretend Australian. You're a pretend Australian.
No, I am honorary Australian.
But that means pretend. It means pretend.
So
you can't do the accent. You need to work on it. You can work on it.
I forgot about my fastest. My fastest bear. So in all seriousness, Lomachenko's been fighting Kambosos. I don't hate the fight. People are hating this fight.
Yeah.
I don't look, don't get me wrong. I'm not jumping up and down in excitement. I'm not gonna like buy tickets to watch this fight in Perth, Australia, or nothing like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not bad. Like, it is. Like, here's why it's not bad. Loma wanted to come. He wanted the Teofimo rematch. Teofimo wouldn't rematch him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next best thing is beat the guy that beat Teofimo. Like, it is what I know. It doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
But in an indirect way, you know, it kind of avenges indirectly. And not only that, come on, like, his only loss, Kambosos, is to Haney, official loss. I do think he lost the Maxie Hughes fight, but
yeah, he did.
But here's the thing: his only official loss is to Haney, and who's to say that Haney is just a really good fighter? That was a very bad style for Kambosos, and maybe this will be a very interesting fight right here, because Loma's not a very big lightweight, neither is Kambosos. It's going to come down to just the skill. I think Loma beats him, but hey, look, I would offer this. I think Kambosos is a top 8, top 7 lightweight in the world. I mean, I think it's a good fight.
Yeah. So let's first attack the negative of it on the surface. The negative is there are better fighters that Loma has access to that he could fight at 135, and one of them would be Shakur, right? So, and also Kambosos is coming off what I thought was a loss against Maxie Hughes, in which I didn't think he looked good at all. So I think Kambosos has been trending down for a little while. So I understand the sentiment that Kambosos, he's trending down. This is guy, he's in another title shot. Come on. But this is the positive of it. Is Lomachenko going to Australia, and that's going to do numbers over in Australia. It's going to be quite the scene. And it's Kambosos, Loma versus Kambosos stylistically is a good fight. On top of that, it's another title shot for Lomachenko. And at first, when I was thinking about this, I was like, so shouldn't this guy maybe think that he's above the belts at this point and just fight the good fights? He's been there, done that as far as titles. We've seen this guy go for undisputed, not undisputed twice now. He's run that cycle twice. Maybe it's past him at this point. But the more I look at this landscape, Lomachenko versus Kambosos is a good starting point for what could be another run, yet another one, believe it or not, another run. It could be a good starting point at another possible undisputed run for Lomachenko at 135. And I didn't think I was going to say that. I thought that window, that door may have closed on him after the Devin Haney fight. And here's another reason why it's forgiving is he's coming off of a loss, right? A fight that many of us thought he won, but he's coming off of a loss. So you offer him forgiveness there. But it's a very winnable fight for him. He can call himself another how many time champion, right? In the weight class. And on top of that, it sets up a unification fight. And I think we're swerving now into why I think Shakur was a little in his feelings. Is he sees the picture and he sees the landscape developing. And he sees that he's a free agent and he may be out the door with Top Rank. He may not like some of the information coming back from him as far as what other outfits are going to offer him as far as fights and money. And he's looking at Top Rank and he's saying, you're really going to put Navarette in line before me coming into weight class to fight Loma? Are you really going to do that? Are you really going to set up Lomachenko versus Navarette? And I think that's the plan. I think it's Lomachenko gets this belt off of Kambosos. Navarette gets this belt, vacant belt, when he's fighting Berinchyk, who is a good fighter, but I think he's limited. A limited undefeated fighter from Ukraine. And I think Navarette should win that fight. So it sets up Lomachenko versus Navarette, and then it puts Shakur sort of a little further in the distance. And I think that's why Shakur is a bit upset. But once again, it's more than looking great. It's more than being great. You need to entertain. And I'm sure Bob Arum is watching that fight on Thursday night at midnight and see Shakur stinking up the place and getting booed. And he becomes Navarette's walkout bout. And he's saying, I need to be investing in Navarette, not this. I should have flipped this. I should have had Navarette versus Conceição as the main event other than this. And I think that's when Bob started to do that math in his head and say, is this worth investing in? And I think Shakur went a little into the distance. And to make a long story short, though, I think this is a good start. But one thing I need to see from Lomachenko, and if I don't see it this year, I'm out, is he needs to fight a second time. I understand there's things going on in the Ukraine, but we're starting to get Ukrainian fighters in fighting, and Lomachenko needs to be one of those guys. We can't have 3 straight years of one fight. We can't have it, especially if it's Kambosos. And one of the years was Jermaine Ortiz. We can't have it.
I mean, we can't have it, but it's what you're gonna get.
Yeah. But I think we'll get a second fight this year. I do think that we will get Lomachenko versus Navarette if they win their setup bouts late in the year.
Could be. Let's go ahead and proceed here. Really quick. Don't want to spend too much time with this, but Las Vegas is going to be hosting Conno Benn because he can't fight in the UK against Peter Dobson at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. I heard it's going to be like in the afternoon too, so the people in the UK can watch it. It's not even prime time, so I think the little bit I've seen of Dobson, I don't think he has anything for Conno Benn. And I believe this he's going back to 147 if I'm not mistaken. So it should be a very interesting fight, and we'll see if anything, if Conno Benn can make the weight comfortably. If it is a lightweight, somebody could correct me if I'm wrong about that, by the way. But it should be a very, very, very interesting fight. What do you think?
I don't know if there's a catch weight involved. I think it's official welterweight bout, but I'm not sure. And
could be.
I took Conno Benn knockout 1-6. I mean, just to talk about this quickly. And but I have been told by other people, and I've seen other people say that Dobson's tougher than people are giving him credit for. I've seen footage. I've seen as much footage as you. I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about Dobson, but True School Sports is out. True School Sports is out there saying this guy is live. I don't know. Conno Benn is in the spot though where if somebody's going to be upset, he's in that type of spot, right? He's just a long layoff. He's been through a lot. So he could come out flat. You never know. But I still took the stoppage 1 through 6. I'm playing that. I think he's going to get this guy out of there early. And hopefully he does. And hopefully they just let him fight wherever. Come on. Let's move on.
Should be very interesting. We'll see how he looks. And if he gets a big win in his weight class, then we're looking at a lot of potential matchups here. Maybe a fight with Boots. So that's a fight. Stanionis against Conno Benn is. I just think about that fight. Like, yeah, let's go.
Or he can go to 154 too. I've heard that he can go to 154.
Yeah, he has options. He has a lot of options. I just think if he could make 147, he should stay there until he can't make it anymore. It's my opinion, but we'll see where he goes from here. But he definitely has a lot of options for sure. Ryan Garcia was swerved bad, bro.
Oh my God!
Ryan Garcia got mugged, bro. Like he got embarrassed, like in front of everybody. And then for people like all the insiders in the business are like, yeah, you don't know that he's gonna fight Raleigh because it's a bigger name, and my insiderness knows that this fight is a big fight, and that's why he's not gonna fight Haney. Like you know what I mean? But it wasn't any of that. It was what we speculated the whole time. Floyd told him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Floyd told him, and he had said that. He said, Floyd told me, why don't you fight Raleigh first? And then you could do a fight with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's something Floyd threw out to him, and Ryan just went with it. I heard a little bit of your live earlier, and you're 100% right. Ryan gets making these stupid judgment calls by listening to other people that don't have a vested interest in him.
No.
The people that have a vested interest in him, he doesn't listen to them. Oscar would know, yo, you don't want to do a rehydration clause in the catcher with this dude? No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay, right? And then they mug him, and he's over here praising the other side, the one that took advantage of him and all that. This is crazy, bro. And then he's just realizing now, oh, man, I guess Floyd was just, I guess he's very influential. Like, what are you doing, Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then he's like, oh, yeah, Golden Boy, they've been wanting me to lose for years, or whatever the fuck he's been saying. Like, why would Golden Boy want you to lose? Like, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard, bro. They wanted Duarte to beat you. Like, you really believe that, bro? No offense to Duarte, but like, I don't think Oscar was like, come on, Duarte, get this victory for me, please. Like, no, like they've invested money in you for years. They want, like, it's common sense, bro, that they want a return on their investments. After investing in him for a year, why the fuck would they not want the best for him? It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then his management team is colliding with a promotional team. We just interviewed Glenn Jennings a couple days ago, right? If there's a question that he feels is more appropriate for the promotional side, he just tells us. He gives us his opinion, then he says, but to be honest, boys, I don't deal with that. That's more of the promotional side. I'm on the manager side, right? Makes sense. Ryan's team, bro, is trying to be promoter and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they know better than Oscar, or whatever criticism you have of Oscar, right? If Ryan's manager knew better, then Ryan's manager would be a promoter, and he would have a promotional company, and he would be promoting fights. But he doesn't. Do your manager, I'm not saying that they shouldn't bump heads behind the scenes. I'm sure it happens. But it shouldn't spill out, and Ryan should be picking sides and calling his management side his people, and talking about Oscar like he's this foreign entity. He's your people too. He's your promoter, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? But anyway, all this is Ryan's fault. It looks like now he's thinking about maybe Haney's back on the table. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what to believe anymore. I'm just mad, Calix, that people are using Lion Ryan when I came up with it. Right? They're not giving me my credit. Right? But
they're not giving you credit. You need to get shirts made and everything, hats, the whole nine. Lion Ryan.
Look, I don't know, but what are your thoughts?
No, so my favorite part about that whole scenario was people are telling him what's going on in real time. And then Ryan comes out and starts berating his own fan base for coming after Floyd while Floyd is playing him.
I love Floyd. Don't criticize him. I love him, he said.
Ryan did the right thing initially. He put out a poll and he said, who do you want me? You want me to fight Devin Haney? Who do you want me to fight? And they said Devin Haney. Ryan, go fight Devin Haney. That's what we want. Go fight that fight. And Ryan said, he did the right thing. He said, I'm going to honor my fans here, and I'm going to give you a good fight. It's me versus Haney. It's a meaningful fight at 140. It's a tough fight. At that point, then 2 of his last 3 fights will be Tank and Haney, and then we have movement, right? And then at the very least, we could say this guy is fighting the fights, and that's good. That's good. But then he goes on a jog with Floyd, and then Floyd, we're saying it at the time, we know what Floyd's telling him. And we're telling Ryan what's going on in real time, and Ryan starts berating his fans at the expense of Floyd. And he listens to Floyd instead of his fans, and look where it gets him. Floyd then on the back end, and Floyd and Leonard and Al and all of them, like the whole Tank, Isak, Raleigh, they have to be laughing at Ryan while he's berating his fans because they know what's going on behind the scenes. They know what they're doing, the scam that they're running. And part of this is to sabotage Devin Haney. Bill Haney was coming after that whole team over there, so they're trying to sabotage that at the same time. And it made Ryan look bad. He's got egg all over his face, so now he's crawling back to the negotiation table. But here's the good news about all this is we're actually going to get a more meaningful fight out of Ryan because I do believe April 20th is going to be resurrected. That fight's going to be resurrected. I see Devin Haney out there tweeting April 20th. I do believe they're going to make that fight now. I think they'll get that to the finish line. The wild card there will be Jose Ramirez. Rick Marisian is saying that Ramirez is going to be back in April too, but I don't think that's going to be the fight.
We're going to get high on April 20th. I'm just saying.
I think Ryan versus Devin is going to be the fight.
420, baby. Let's go. You know what I mean? I should defend Ryan, says Nando. Look,
but if the fight does happen with Ryan, then we have to look at the resume once again. If the fight happens with Haney, and then it's Tank versus Tank and Haney in 3-fight run for Ryan, and that's good.
Yeah. Look,
it's a lot of give and take with this dude, man. Like it's all over the place.
I was going to say this. Let me say this. Ryan and Tank had a lot of detractors here, a lot of them here on YouTube, before their fight was announced. And then after their fight, when people saw the numbers, a lot of channels, a lot of content creators became very pro Tank and Ryan all of a sudden, right? Because they're hoping for that access. That's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. Like it is what it is. They're like, oh man, those guys are big. I got to be good to them, man. So I can get those numbers. You know what I mean? And they'll be saying good things about Ryan. Ryan retweets them to get it all excited and shit. You know what I mean? Like, so it just is what it is. You know, whatever. They don't want to be blackballed by the Tank side. So say good things about Tank, and you don't want to be removed from credentials for Tank fights. So he's a big name. I gotta keep saying good things about Tank, no matter what. Whatever. Okay, but I still say the same things about Tank. He hasn't fought. His best win is Ryan Garcia. Are you kidding me? That's his best win at not even lightweight. It was at a catch weight. Like that's his best win. And Ryan, what has Ryan done? He beat Luke Campbell's his only good win.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, so consistency here, ladies and gentlemen. Right? I'm just saying. Look, we're gonna end it with this topic here. By the way, Kambosos went hard on Paulie. By the way, I don't know if you saw it. Like, you didn't see it? Paulie Malignaggi was saying that Kambosos should retire if he loses to Lomachenko, or consider retirement. And Kambosos retweeted that boxing scene story and he said, "While you've been irrelevant for years, you got beat up by MMA fighters and bare knuckle sparring. And
Adrian took his girl, stuff like that.
Adrian took his girl, like so. He went back. He clapped back for sure. I don't know who Paulie thinks he is sometimes, bro. He criticizes Canelo because he's fighting a guy that's moved up to weight classes when he did that against Broner. He criticizes Kambosos because he loses his big fights. Paulie, like what? Who are we kidding here? Like you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what it is.
Haddon, you know.
I'll tell you what it is with Paulie. And by the way, I don't really mind.
Well, I'm gonna let you say what it is. I'm gonna tell you, like, just to segue to this, because I'm sure you're gonna make those same points. Paulie Malignaggi's issue with Canelo goes so many levels to me that Paulie doesn't even follow his own Paulie Malignaggi blueprint of criticisms when it comes to Canelo.
Mm-hmm.
So him and Bradley, even Bradley's always ragging on dudes for their lack of defense and not fighting smart, and he's just ragging on them, right? But when it comes to Mungia, oh yeah, Mungia, he's that guy. You know, it takes two to land one. He's a real Mexican warrior, not like Canelo. That's what the Mexican fans want. You Mexican fans want Mungia, not Canelo. Canelo's out here, you know, trying to fight all smart and stuff. Like, no, you want that guy that lands 2 to land 1, 4 to land 2, whatever it takes. That's what you want. He has that Mexican warrior style, not like Canelo. That's what the Mexican fans wish Canelo was. I'm just sitting there, right? I'm listening to these guys, and I'm like, Mungia's an active fighter. If they wished Canelo was like Mungia, they would just be Mungia fans. They would all show up. You know what I mean? Like, they would just stop watching Canelo and just go watch Mungia. Like, if they didn't want Canelo to be who Canelo was, they wouldn't fill out stadiums. He wouldn't be basically the cash cow of boxing. He wouldn't draw the 20 million viewers in Mexico. He wouldn't draw, like, you know what I'm saying? Yep. That shit's stupid, bro. And who the fuck are they to talk for a fan base? Like, a lot of these pundits, Teddy Atlas included, stop telling the Mexican fan base what the Mexican fan base wants. What are you doing? Like, give your opinion about the fighters, but don't talk to a fan base like that. Especially if we keep it honest, the fan base that's carrying this fucking sport in America.
Yep. By far.
Cook.
No, one of my pet peeves is because I know how much Mexican American, and that fan base carries the sport here in America. I don't like when they're talked down to. And this is coming from a non-Mexican. You can't take that fan base for granted. You can't talk down to that fan base, and you can't speak about that fan base. I would say it's not smart to speak about that fan base, framing that fan base as cavemen who like caveman style and as a monolith, right? Here's what I know about the Mexican fan base. If you look at their most revered fighters, and if you look at the top Mexican fighters, both modern era and all time, the things they have in common is they're all high intellectual fighters, right? They can all counterpunch. They set things up. Great footwork, punch placement. I mean, look at them: Canelo, Gallo Estrada, Marquez, Morales, Barrera, and that's just the modern era fighters. And you go back to Salvador Sanchez, Julio Cesar Chavez. But I think when people see these fighters, and it's been conditioned into American fight fans, it's been programmed into them. I think it's a psyop that getting hit is not smart. If you get hit, if you have blood streaming down your face, it's just not smart, and it's not good defense. But what they're missing is these Mexican fighters are fighting at a higher level of difficulty. And why do I say that? They're fighting tough competition, number one. But number two, they're keeping their hands free. They're not going to get away from the Mexican fan base. If we want to speak about things that the Mexican fan base, I think, likes from speaking to a lot of Mexican fans, and it shows up in the track record, right? On the fighters that they like, the beloved fighters. They're highly intelligent fighters. So they're not just caveman style type fighters. But at the same time, they're entertaining. That's the part that people are missing. Nobody wants to see, like we're seeing it right now with Shaur. It's like he's great. Everybody sees he's great. Everybody sees he's a great pound for pound fighter, but it can't stop there. You cannot just hug and hug and clinch and reset. It can't be a constant reset. And that's an easier way to fight, by the way. The degree of difficulty is higher when it
Especially
comes
because
to the Mexican.
it requires a referee to help you
Yes.
to fight that way.
The degree of difficulty is higher if you're staying in the pocket, you're keeping your hands free, you're counter punching, you're making your opponent miss by a little. It's not an Arislandi Lara style of fighting, right? Where you're just kind of running around the ring, you're making your opponent miss and then getting out of there, retreating. It's you're staying in the pocket, making a miss. And some of these fighters are economical. Some of these fighters are high output fighters, all kind of different styles. But the one thing they have in common is highly intelligent, great fighters, but they're entertaining. And that's what the Mexican fan base likes.
100.
And the blueprint to get to the Mexican fan base is easy in that you just fight the fights, but that's also difficult because you have to fight the fights and you have to continue to fight the fights and you have to go after legacy. Legacy has to matter. They don't want to hear low risk, high reward. I'm sure you would agree with me on this. They don't want to hear low risk, high reward. And if it ain't about the dollars, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. What's your legacy? Are you fighting for legacy? If not, then I'm out. And
People don't understand the fight culture that Mexican Americans and Mexicans have. It's not that difficult to understand the fight culture. You just have to want fights. That's it. If you're a person that wants to watch the fights, you'll understand that fight culture, right? But American fight fans in general, I can't really speak about the rest of the world, but they've gotten away from that, right? Speaking business and making sense why a fight makes sense and explaining it to people, and we're just like, we don't want the fight, brother. Like, you know what I mean?
It's great fights.
They're not demanding the fights, right? So they misunderstand the culture. So like a friend of mine actually told me, hey, why do the Mexican legends take Canelo and they're siding with Benavidez? And I said, they're not siding with Benavidez. When they're saying, hey, I want to see Canelo fight Benavidez, I think Canelo needs to do that fight. They're not hating, like this culture of, oh, he's hating. That's not hating.
Mm-mm.
That's the fight to do, dude. That's what you got to fight. Because that's the fight to make. That's why. They're not hating. Like, oh, they're FaceTiming Benavidez. Oh, they're picking Benavidez. No. Here's another thing. They do it with the Mexican legends, and they do it with the fan base. Who said we have to pick one or the other?
Mm-hmm.
I could be a fan of Canelo, Mungia, and Benavidez.
Yeah.
Oh, but Benavidez isn't from Mexico. I don't give a fuck. It's not my point. I could be a fan of a Mexican American, a Mexican, and a Mexican. What does that even mean? So this whole like, I'll take two to land one is one of the biggest myths I've ever fucking heard, bro. That's not. Are there Mexican fighters that? Yeah, but there's fighters like that everywhere, right? Like that's whatever to me. You can find an Italian that fights that way. You can find Kirkland should take punches to land. Like, what does that even mean, bro?
Yeah.
Yes, there's guys with a brawling style, but that's not that isn't the Mexican style. It never has been. Right? Like Saldivar boxed on his back foot. Chavez knew how to box on his back foot. Chavez had great head movement. You know what I mean? Salvador Sanchez was a phenomenal boxer. But they fought great fighters, so yes, they got hit. Yes, Maldrick Taylor was landing more punches on Chavez than Chavez was landing on him. But that wasn't like the plan. Like it's just that Taylor was a really good fighter. He was very, very fast. Right? Was beating up to the punch, especially in the first half of that fight. It wasn't his strategy to take two to land one. So what I want to say is this, and it goes to your point. In basketball, you're not allowed to do a double dribble, right?
Yeah.
By boxing fans' logic, they would say, oh, but allowing the double dribble is more effective. You could get to the basket a lot easier. You could get through a defense a lot easier. Why wouldn't you do it? Right? Well, first of all, because the basketball rules have decided that they want to make it more difficult to score, right? So you have to dribble the ball properly. So in boxing, I would appreciate it if the combat sport that prided itself on being limited by design, I would appreciate it if you enforced those limitations. Like clinching is not a thing in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So how about we enforce the no clinching? How about we enforce actually fighting and engaging in a fight and not calling avoiding engagement defense as people have been doing for years? How about we do that? That's the thought that I wanted to throw out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as Paulie and Bradley, look, I'm not here to tell those guys that they don't have a right to their opinion because they do, right? Just give us your opinion. Don't speak for a fan base. That's painting with a broad brush. You could sit me and Chicano Prophet in a room, ask us boxing questions. We're not going to agree on everything. Just because we're Mexican doesn't mean we agree on everything.
You're not a monolith.
Yeah, it's not a monolithic thing, okay? And plenty of fans love both guys. Like they like Mungia for the action fighter that he is, and they like Canelo for what he is. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, just two points to add on to that is I was watching a video about this earlier because obviously I'm into basketball too and coach it, but they've legislated defense basically out of the NBA to where the game is no longer recognizable and scoring is at an all-time high, but it's unwatchable because defense is a big part of the game and people want to see it. And they've legislated defense out of the game on the NBA level, and people in America don't like it. Universally, it's becoming a bigger sport, but in America, it's shrinking because people just don't want to see that type of finesse style basketball. In boxing, they've made it easier to defend, right? In that they allow these constant resets, and there's choppiness and there's too much tactical clinching at this point. And they need to start. There are rules in place. The Marcus of Queensberry rules are right there. They're right there. Mm-hmm. All we're asking is that you abide by them and you enforce them a little more in order to make it a little more offensive and make it tougher to defend, because now in gyms, are they even teaching proper defense? American fighters are just clinching. They're just taught to clinch. Don't worry about inside fighting. Don't put yourself at risk. And this is what we talk about when we say that with Mexican fighters, they know the unwritten rule. If there is sort of a generalization that I can make of Mexican boxing and Mexican boxing fans, is there's this unwritten rule that they don't even have to worry about if a referee is enforcing the rules. They know that they cannot sit there in front of a Mexican audience and clinch all night. They can't sit there and tactically headbutt you like Andre Ward 27 times per round. It's just not, it's not going to go over well. You need to be entertaining at the same point. And that's the elevated risk that you run if you're fighting that type of style. And that's why I give a lot of these Mexican legends a lot of credit, because they were able to balance both. Here's the last point I would make on this. And this is, I think, a bigger, broader thing and a broader problem in sports is we have a lot of talking heads now. And if you look at the landscape 12, 13 years ago, it was mostly just boxing fans that were the talking heads on YouTube. And now you've introduced a lot of fighters with podcasts. And there's a lot of fighters and trainers and former fighters, former trainers talking about the sport. And one thing that I've seen, and this is every sport, this is basketball, football, you see this with the NFL a lot. I don't think that the participants make the best narrative-based channels. I don't think that they make the best narrative-based podcasts. I think they're too in the bubble. And I think they're too attached to these fighters personally to call it down the middle. And on top of that, they just don't. They're better at X's and O's. I like Paulie Malignaggi, his wheelhouse, and I think he's one of the best at this. When he was on Showtime, I think he was the best color commentator at this. He's great at X's and O's. I think Timothy Bradley, when he gets locked in and focused, I think he's great at it too. And I'd like to see them steer a little further away from narrative type stuff and more into the X and O's, because there's a vacuum there. I think we're losing that. I think that the former participants and the participants are trying to be too narrative based. Leave that to the fans, because I think the fans are better at that than the participants. I think the participants, they can give us eyes that we can't see, things that we can't see, because they participated in the ring, and I'd like to see them stick more to that.
They're just missing. Like I know what you're saying. It's a lot to dive into, but I'm not saying it's impossible. But I just think I listen to these takes, and they're just not good. Like a lot of times, it is what it is. They're just not very good takes.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like, do you remember with Porter when they were asking? Like, he actually fought both Spence and Crawford, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were asking him, "Hey, you've been in the ring with both guys. Who's going to win that fight?" And it's one thing to say, "I have no comment. I don't want to like comment on that because I fought both guys," but he would like give breakdowns that led to nowhere. I don't know if you remember hearing his takes. Like, he'll be like, yeah, you know, Crawford, he's strong, you know, but Spence is strong too. You know what I mean? Crawford, he's a really smart guy, but Spence is a smart fighter too. Spence, you know, he puts on a lot of pressure, but Crawford can put pressure too. And he would just keep doing this thing. And everybody's like, so who's going to win, bro? Like, who do you favor? I think it's one of those fights that if Spence brings his best, he wins. If Crawford brings his better, he wins. What?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? What is that? What? Like, you know what I mean? And then after the fight, I knew Crawford was going to win. I knew it the whole time. Like, well, why did you say that? Or just plead the fifth. You know, I'm just saying. Yeah. What's going on to Boxing Kangaroo? El Pachuco, Nando, Shushain, Boxing, Remy, all you got. We're about to wrap this one up, guys, but I just want to reiterate, don't speak for fan bases. It's been normalized with the Mexican fan base for some reason. Like Teddy was like, "Oh, well, why do you guys? I know you love Canelo, but you got to understand, there's other fighters. Like, you got all these," and he's reading them from a piece of paper. He's like, that's the type of
language I hate.
So the Vals, and you got this guy over here from the 70s that I don't even know about, but I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like, the dude, like, he's like the Joe Biden of boxing takes, bro. He's like an old man. Like, what are we doing?
He's
like, you know what I mean?
Teddy's bad.
But he's like, well, why do you love Canelo? I know you guys love Canelo, but you should like this guy and that guy, and like. Why are you so like butthurt about who fan bases follow or don't follow, or just give your opinion, dude? If you don't think Canelo's that good, he's overrated, just say it, Teddy. It's okay. Yeah. But just don't lecture fan bases, bro.
No. And like, this is the one you don't want to take for granted, because if they leave, if they get tired of getting preached down to, I'm telling you, it's not going to be good.
And you know what's not going to be good? If the boxing public. Because look, Canelo, he's getting up there in age, okay? So, and he just strikes me as one of those fighters that isn't going to walk away until somebody makes him go away. He just strikes me as one of those fighters, and that might not be something Canelo fans want to hear, but I think that's what makes Canelo a great fighter as well. Like Hopkins is that type of guy. Hopkins said, "The sport's going to retire me. I'm not going to retire." Like he told people that, and he was right.
Yeah,
like he got retired. Like, you know what I mean? So. The ending may not be pretty, right? Like maybe he does have a couple fights and retires. I don't know, but I think he's gonna be one of those guys that's gonna get retired, right?
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. The ending doesn't have to be beautiful, but you have to know when the curtain call is. So it could end on it. But what I say, like, it can end on a knockout, but The Sopranos didn't end how people wanted it, but it's still a great show. Legacy, great 100%. Legacy, right?
But here's the thing. If that happens to Canelo, because this hasn't happened to a fighter of this magnitude, right? Where he gets retired with social media and with a lot of these pundits like Teddy and Paulie Malignaggi, all these guys, right? And Bradley's starting to join the party now, right? If if Mexican fans get a sense that okay, these guys are acting like a pack of hyenas, jumping on Canelo, shredding him, like when it's kicking him when he's down, when it's easy to kick him when he's down. I do think a lot of those people could say, fuck this sport and leave the sport. I do believe that could happen. You know what I mean? So you got to be really careful. Like, I'm not saying be sensitive to the fans. I'm not saying don't call the fight for what it was. Like, man, Canelo got his ass beat. But if you make it seem like because I already know what Teddy's going to do. It's not going to be enough that Canelo lost and that was the ending. He got a beat down in that last fight. It's going to be, he was never that good. I've been saying for years that this guy, he was putting on a show and he was faking it while he made it. And all his fans were dumb enough to believe it. And like that's what I'm talking about.
Your Teddy impression is spot on. That was way better than your Australian.
No, my Australian impression is 10 times better. What are we talking about? But I'm saying, and the thing is, Canelo is when he gets in the ring, I don't know. I was sure he wasn't that good. That's gonna be Paulie, okay? Paulie's gonna be talking about how he wasn't ever that good, and I knew the whole time. It should have been over years ago when he lost with Golovkin, but they kept the show. They robbed him for Golovkin, and then they kept the scheme going for years. Like that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
the fan base may say, fuck these hypocrites. Fuck these. Why am I even supporting this fucking sport with double standards galore and stuff like that? I'm just saying, man, like you just gotta be responsible and correct with your criticisms. Okay. Just trying to be Stephen A. Smith doesn't quite work with a Mexican fan base. It just doesn't. That shock jock thing, it doesn't work, bro. Like there's a very negative feeling Mexican fans get with that, in my opinion. Not that we're all the same, but for the most part, right? But those are my thoughts. Don't speak down to Mexican fan bases. Calix closes out with some final thoughts.
Good fights being announced, and I like what I'm seeing as far as these fights being announced. We talked about Oscar Valdez, Liam Wilson. Love that. We love Tim Zua being back, obviously, although we don't like the pay-per-view. We love that. And on top of that, Lomachenko, Kambosos. Looks like Navarette is going to be back in action. Just a lot of stuff. And where I would leave it at is the fighters who aren't doing things are going to be left behind. You're going to be left behind. Things are starting to move. Although we're not getting the overall activity level that we want, there is some sort of reset happening. And we'll see if it's the harder reset that maybe you thought was coming or the softer reset that I thought was coming. But you're starting to see signs of that. And the fighters who, if you're on the shelf, if you're not active, you're going to get left behind. You're going to get left behind. And I would urge these fighters to fight the fights no matter what circumstance they're in. I'll just leave it at that.
We'll go ahead and leave it at that. Hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here. Peace.